from University of Allahabad. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for a great conference and giving me this opportunity to present my work here. Okay, so today I'll be presenting my work on Floquet engineering of topological insulator surface states. We have understood that how we are trying to understand that how the light induced topological surface states get modified in terms of band structure and spin texture, and how does this affect thermoelectric properties of these materials. So to have a brief introduction, topological insulators are fantastic materials. They have they behave as insulators in their bulk, but they have conducting surface states, and these surface states they exhibit spin momentum locking. That is why these materials, they have got immense applications in low power electronics, in spintronics, and in quantum information also. Actually, they've been used. So now the motivation that why are we looking at the light induced effects in these systems is because when we want to use these materials for, say, low power electronics or spintronics, we would like to modulate the band structure, we would like to modulate the spin texture, and this can be done in many ways. For example, this can be done by using chemical dopants, this can be done by strain engineering, this can also be done by fabricating of heterostructures. We have seen in some of the previous talks also experimentally. One exciting direction to modulate their band structure and the spin texture, to have a control over these, is the modulation using high frequency EM radiation. So what happens? Topological insulators which are irradiated with time periodic EM radiation light, they exhibit a type of surface states which are called Floquet-Dirac surface states. They have been experiments, they have been experimentally verified, the Floquet-Dirac surface states, and they have been gaining a lot of attention due to radiation polarization controllable photocurrent that we can achieve using these devices. So we do theoretical modeling of these systems. So now, to have a brief introduction, to model this system, we have the surface states of a bichalcogenide topological insulator, for example, bismuth selenide or bismuth telluride, and the Hamiltonian can be described using a Fu model Hamiltonian. So this Hamiltonian, yes, so this is the Hamiltonian. The first term in the Hamiltonian corresponds to the massless Dirac fermions, which gives the linear dispersion. This term only, this gives the linear dispersion, and this has got circular shaped energy contours which are circled around the Dirac point. So this looks like graphene, like Hamiltonian. Now the second term here is the hexagonal warping term. This is very important for the case of topological insulators like bismuth selenide, where we have more than one topological insulator film. And the third term corresponds to the hybridization gap term, which is again because there are more than one films, say 5 to 7 layers of the TI films. That is why there will be quantum tunneling between the bottom and the top surface states, and due to this band gap, some gap term arises, and we take care of this term in the Hamiltonian. Also, in order to keep it general for more systems, we have kept a tilt term. So this tilt term, this is the momentum dependent tilt term. When we manipulate the surface of these topological insulators using some kind of magnetization, or even in the proximity of ferromagnetic insulators, there is a momentum dependent tilt term that arises, which tilts the Dirac cone and make it anisotropic in some direction. So we kept it general. This can be Tx or Ty. So we kept it general, and this is the tilt term. Now, with this Hamiltonian, to see the interaction of this Hamiltonian with light, EM radiation, we have first understood it for linearly polarized radiation and then for elliptically and circularly polarized radiation as well. So this is the time varying potential of the electromagnetic radiation, which is linearly polarized, and the interaction with the topological insulator film takes place via Peale's substitution, minimal coupling. So using that, the Hamiltonian, if we substitute this in the Hamiltonian, we get a time dependent Hamiltonian. And now we have to solve this in order to understand what happens to the band structure and spin texture and all. So now this time dependent Hamiltonian can be treated using Floquet theory. So yes, so now what is Floquet theory? When we have, suppose in crystals we have space dependent potential, so we used to use Bloch's theorem, which says that the net wave function will be the product of the plane wave and a function which has the same periodicity as the crystal. Similarly, when we do Floquet theory for a time dependent Hamiltonian, we have the wave function which has this plane wave kind of form, where now the k crystal momentum, instead of crystal momentum we have quasi energy of the crystal epsilon, and this phi t wave function which has the same periodicity as the driving field. So EM radiation is the driving field, and so which means that the time periodicity in the Hamiltonian, the time periodicity due to EM radiation, the time periodicity in the Hamiltonian gives rise to time translational symmetry, which is analogous to a spatial symmetry in the crystals. And just like using a Bloch's theorem, we use Floquet theorem here, and using this, if we substitute these wave functions into the Hamiltonian, time dependent Hamiltonian, then we get this kind of we get a basically the eigenvalue kind of equation. So which means a full time dependent Hamiltonian is now, instead of solving a full time dependent Hamiltonian, we can now solve a Hamiltonian which looks like this. And if you look at this Hamiltonian, it is as if, when like for the crystals we have many zones, Brillouin zones. Similarly, we have many photon sectors over here. This term takes care of that. So this theory exploits the time translational symmetry of a periodic driven system. And so now having obtained this eigenvalue equation, if you want to solve this equation, we expand both the Hamiltonian and the wave function in Fourier harmonics. And in the off resonant regime means when the incident radiation, the energy corresponding to the incident radiation photon is much larger than the bandwidth of the material, then we are in the off resonant regime. In that regime, we ignore all the higher photon sectors, keep the neighboring ones only, and get an effective static Hamiltonian. So this is the effective static Hamiltonian. Basically what Floquet theory has given us, a full Hilbert, enlarged Hilbert space, static Hilbert space Hamiltonian we have achieved instead of solving a time dependent equation. So using this in the off resonant regime, keeping only the neighboring n equal to +1 and -1 photon sectors, which means only plus h omega and minus h omega interaction of the radiation will take place. So these are virtual photon absorption processes. We obtain a complete effective static Hamiltonian. This is the effective static Hamiltonian. Now the important thing about this is all these terms, these are the terms of the Hamiltonian which were there in the original Hamiltonian. This last term is the light induced term. Very importantly, for linearly polarized radiation, this last term depends on the hexagonal warping. This is proportional to the hexagonal warping term, which means if we neglect the hexagonal warping parameter in these systems, we'll miss any correction to the effective Hamiltonian, and the band structure will, that would lead to assumption that there will not be any correction. So there is a weak correction, but due to warping parameter only. So this term is proportional to the hexagonal warping parameter. This A is the light induced term, and this is the correction to the net effective Hamiltonian. So the time reversal symmetry, this is the time reversal symmetry breaking term, mass term in the effective Hamiltonian, and this leads to a gap in the Dirac cone. And we have done this analysis for elliptically as well as circularly polarized light, and this the important difference is, we will show it in the later slides also, that for elliptically polarized light or circularly polarized light, this does not, there are more terms which are independent of warping parameter. So that effect can be seen even if we ignore the warping parameter terms. Now, due to this with this effective static Hamiltonian, where we have seen that the coupling arises only in the presence of hexagonal warping, we calculate the photon dressed, with this photon dressed Hamiltonian, we calculate the energy spectrum. So this is the full energy spectrum which changes, which has changed due to light radiation, and these are the band structures that we obtain. So the first panel shows theta equal to 0 means horizontal polarization, theta equal to pi by 2 means the vertical polarization of light, and Vt upon Vf is the tilt, this is the tilt term with respect to the Fermi velocity. So with increasing tilt, we see that there is more and more asymmetry in the band structure, which means we have a polarization controllable band structure. We have now polarization controllable band structure. And so now with this Hamiltonian, which is photon dressed Hamiltonian, we calculate the eigenstates. And since these eigenstates are also modified due to irradiation, linearly polarized irradiation, so since the eigenstates are modified, so is the spin texture of these surface states. We know that topological insulators as such, they have spin momentum locking. So we have the in plane spin is locked to the momentum. There is no variation in the out of plane spin component. However, when we have the modification due to light, then there is a out of plane, we see in this spin texture, there is a still spin momentum locking. These arrows represents the Sx and the Sy. So there is a spin momentum locking still, but the length of these arrows, we see this, they are different. So definitely there is asymmetry still in the spin texture, but more importantly, this induces a extra Sz, the modulation in the z axis, Sz component, which is seen by this color axis. So initially, due to hexagonal warping, there is C3 symmetry clearly seen in the first one. This is for Vt equal to 0. So there is only warping, there is no tilt term over here, and the radiation term is also 0, no radiation. So there is clear C3 symmetry in this Sz spin texture. However, as we increase the tilt and the radiation parameter, we see a clear asymmetry in these Sz component, and this is how the light irradiation, linearly polarized irradiation, changes the spin texture of these systems. Now, as a consequence of this change in the spin texture, there is one more very important key geometric property of these systems, that is Berry curvature. Now, since the eigenstates are changed, and there is this light, due to this light induced term, so there is a change in the Berry curvature also. These are the Berry curvature plots. So we have calculated the full Berry curvature. We have done this calculation is completely analytical if there is no warping term. It can be solved completely analytically if there is no warping term and no light induced term. However, with the light induced term and the warping, we have done this numerical. We have calculated this numerically, and this is the, so this first plot corresponds to again A equal to 0, Vt equal to 0. This is the Berry curvature in the absence of radiation and in the absence of tilt. As we increase the tilt and the radiation, so the first panel corresponds to, both panels corresponds to 0.5 nanometer inverse radiation parameter, and the tilt is 0.4 with respect to the Fermi velocity. So this is for horizontal polarization, this is for vertical polarization, and we have done it for other polarization states also, that the Berry curvature also changes a lot due to light induced effects. Now, so how do we exploit it? So Berry curvature acts like a magnetic field in the momentum space, due to which if we consider a device like this, for example, we have a hot electrode at one end and we have a cold electrode, region at the other end. There is a thermal gradient along the y-axis then due to non-zero Berry curvature as a effect of light irradiation, the electrons in these systems will get a push in the x direction. So there will be a non-zero anomalous thermal conductivity. We calculate the Nernst conductivity, that is called anomalous Nernst conductivity in these systems. So we have this temperature gradient in the y directions across the topological insulator surface, and then there will be a generation of transverse electric current, that is known as anomalous Nernst current. We have incorporated the correction due to Berry curvature. So this is how we have incorporated the correction due to Berry curvature, and this function, this function is the equivalent Fermi-Dirac distribution function. With this we calculate the anomalous Nernst conductivity, and we have seen that this is how that we have analyzed that how does the incorporation of the hexagonal warping parameter and the tilt term changes this anomalous Nernst conductivity. So this plot shows that the black one, these are the corrections due to non-zero warping and non-zero tilt in the anomalous Nernst conductivity as a function of the chemical potential. We have analyzed also how does this change as a function of temperature, and there are corrections again due to warping term and due to tilt term, and these are the corrections in these anomalous Nernst conductivity. Now if we compare what happens in the case of elliptically polarized EM radiation, this is even more interesting. Why? Because for the case of elliptically polarized radiation, so this is the vector potential for elliptically polarized radiation. Here eta corresponds to the ellipticity and this zeta corresponds to the helicity, clockwise or anti-clockwise, helicity of the incident EM radiation. Now again we have calculated the effective Hamiltonian, and very importantly again this is the term, this is the extra term which is helicity and ellipticity dependent gap term. Now so since this term is helicity dependent and ellipticity dependent, so this term is basically the term was delta bar is equal to delta minus this. So this is how it is ellipticity and helicity dependent, and when zeta is clockwise then this term, and when zeta is anti-clockwise then this term, this is positive and negative, this changes sign. So basically delta bar, when delta is less than this term, then this electromagnetic radiation induces the system into Floquet-Chern insulating phase, Floquet-Chern topological insulating phase, while when this term is greater than 0, then the system transitions into the trivial insulator phase. We will see this using, we can clearly see this using the band structures as well as in the Berry curvature phases. So these are A, B, C and D, these are the trivial phases, while these are the Floquet-Chern topological insulating phases, topological insulating phases. So these are the effects that we have studied. This also changes again for elliptical radiation, the anomalous Hall conductivity we have calculated, and we have seen that how as a function of temperature, as a function of chemical potential, as a function of ellipticity, how does the anomalous Hall conductivity changes in these systems. So basically these are the conclusions. We have seen the effect of hexagonal warping and band tilt on the Fermi surface and on the anomalous thermoelectric properties of topological insulator surface states which are irradiated with linearly polarized or elliptically polarized radiation. We have seen that how does Berry curvature and spin texture changes for these systems due to these light induced modifications, and how does the anomalous Nernst conductivity or the Hall conductivity can be controlled for these effects. These are some references. Happy to take questions.
Questions?
Yes, thank you.
One question, I was a bit confused on the Hamiltonian description that you showed in the very first, one of the first few slides. So I was just wanted to have a tilt term, which is
Yes.
delta.
So, for example, Borofin systems are there which show the anisotropy of the Dirac cone for these systems, as well as if you bring a ferromagnetic stripe close to topological insulator surface states, then also there is this anisotropy that can be taken care using this.
Yeah, I understand that. My question is that it's a momentum dependent term, right?
Yes.
But in your calculations, I probably could not see where exactly you included the specific momentum dependent form of delta.
Okay. Momentum dependent form of delta. Delta.
The tilt that you are, is that? Or
So
did I-
yes. So
No, in
this
the
is the
original
term.
Hamiltonian. In the
Uh,
original, the undriven Hamiltonian,
huh.
you have delta times sigma z, right?
Yes.
If delta is constant, then that will gap out the Dirac cone.
This is the tail term Vx kx sigma naught. There is no, so this is h naught. The total Hamiltonian is h naught plus h tilt. This is due to quantum tunneling between the top and the bottom surface that leads to a small band gap.
So you have a small band gap because
Yes,
of the
yes,
density.
yes, yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Very nice talk. This term, sigma, first term which you put, that's a cross product, right? That's not like a graphene term.
So for graphene, they are effectively same system, sir. For graphene, they put it like sigma x kx minus sigma y ky. They are effectively similar. Yes, sir.
One thing. Other thing, just I want to understand this in your anomalous non-conductivity. What is anomalous about?
So we have the gradient in the y direction, but the conductivity in the x direction. That is why they call it anomalous. And because this is due to an extra group velocity term, it arises due to Berry curvature. Due to Berry curvature, there is an addition in the so when we solve the full semi-classical equation, then the Berry curvature contributes to a extra group velocity term. That is why they call it anomalous.
This charge insulator diagram which you showed, this Berry curvature curve.
Yes, sir.
So how do you conclude from this that this is a charge?
Okay, so we have calculated.
This I understand. This is just a Berry curvature.
This is a Berry curvature plot. We calculated. Okay. We had done the Chern number calculations, and okay, yes. This is so this term. So this is the additional term. This becomes plus delta bar or minus delta bar. I mean, we have calculated.
No, but that doesn't automatically tell you the charge.
We have done some Chern number calculations also. Yes, not there in these slides. Yes, sir. Yes.
I have one question.
Yes.
So generally people are actually interested when you drive the system. Basically here you are applying the electromagnetic wave.
Yes.
And people are interested in mostly where the resonance actually occurs. But you are actually describing off the resonance. So is it
Okay, so there are two regimes. One in the high frequency approximation. When we do flow theory, we are interested in two regimes. One in the high frequency regime and other in the low frequency regime. In the high frequency regime, this is called off resonant regime because the actual photon absorption or emission do not take place. This is the virtual photon emission absorption process, and in just this process, the renormalization of the band structure takes place. And because this renormalization has taken place, so that is why it leads to changes in Berry curvature and conductivities.
let's I'm again the speaker.